Hi, good evening, everyone. Please confirm if I'm loud and clear. A quick yes in the chat box. All right. I can see a couple of more students in the queue. So let's wait for them for another 2 minutes and then we'll start off with today's session. So in the meanwhile, guys, I would like to introduce myself. This is Deepak Agrawal and I take care of the international admissions consulting at Career Launcher. And some of you have met me earlier, and today I have a privilege of having Mr. Rahul Paryani with me. And just to share a brief introduction about him, about Mr. Rahul. So he's currently working as an associate manager at York University, Schulich School of Business. And given his academics, given his work experiences, it has been quite vast. He has studied in Europe, he has studied in the US, he has worked in three different continents, and it's been years and years of experience and knowledge that he brings into the table. And today he would be walking us through the MBA admissions landscape, and he would also share a few details about the Schulich School of Business, which is one of the top schools. It is one of the dream universities of the students who are looking forward to studying in a country like Canada. So once Mr. Rahul walks us through the MBA admission landscape and he talks about the other master's programs, then I'll carry forward the session and I'll like discuss a few details about the universities outside Canada. All right. So I can see few more students. So Rahul, why not to get started now?
Definitely. Thank you so much, Deepak, for this introduction. And hi, everyone. Thank you so much also for coming in on a Friday evening at 9 p.m. to join us to know more about studying abroad, higher education in general, and also, of course, about Schulich School of Business. We'll give you a small brief. Before I start, we can have some ground rules. Any questions you have, I'll say put them down in the chat right away. Okay, and we will be obviously taking all the Q&A at the end of the session. The session itself will not be too long. My presentation itself will be about 15 to 20 minutes. I'll keep it as short as I can. I'll also try to answer any questions that you might already have in mind. So obviously, we'll talk about business education, Canada, Schulich, but these are some topics that I would also like to cover right here on the screen. So we are in times where it's a difficult choice to make when it comes to studying abroad, whether it be Canada, whether it be US, Europe. All the markets are fluctuating a little. So this is a difficult situation. It's a difficult decision. Definitely one of the most important decisions that you can think of taking as of now. So I'm happy to answer more candidly on questions such as, do you offer a GMAT waiver? Are there still jobs that your students are getting? How is the career landscape in Toronto, in US, right? And what does it take to get admitted to a top B school? So all of these questions happy to take during this, after this, and also throughout the session. All right. So let's start with understanding as Deepak already introduced me, I am Rahul. I'm manager of recruitment admissions at Schulich School of Business. So I am somebody who actually looks at your application as they come in, right? So let's say if you submit your master's in management application to Schulich, and if you are an Asian candidate, I look at all the Asia regional applications. Okay, so I will have access to your entire CV, entire written application, SOP, essays, etc. And I will be the one interviewing also for a couple of the programs, including our full-time flagship MBA program. Okay, so my role is obviously, pre-application PR right now. You are thinking about applying or studying abroad, but also once you apply, I'll be a part of the journey that you will have with Schulich. Now, what is Schulich? Now, it's an easy way, I'll say, to understand Schulich is it's one of the best places to study business in Canada, right? Whether you want to look at rankings, whether you want to look at the diversity, the innovation that Schulich has, all of them kind of tick all the boxes. Schulich is definitely one of the top ranked B school. Financial Times number 2, Economist number 1, Forbes number 1, QS MBA number 1 in finance and economics. So definitely one of the top B schools, I'll say. Rankings should be taken with a pinch of salt, but again, they do reflect what kind of faculty you'll be studying from, what kind of peers you will be studying with. Again, highly diverse class, 51 to 60% international students, 48 plus countries represented, 45,000 plus alumni from all around the world, right? So this is definitely something that you would only see at a top business school like Schulich. So this is definitely an advantage you are looking at if you plan to study at a school like Schulich. Now, we are not just in Canada, we are in Ontario, one of the richest provinces in the country. We are in Toronto, one of the highest tax paying cities in the country as well. So it itself brings a lot of benefits being close to the industry, whether it be the financial industry. We are the second largest financial center in North America, right after New York. We are the third largest tech sector in North America. We're also one of the safest cities to live in if you plan to, bring out your family someday to Canada. If you want to settle in Canada, in Toronto, it's a great place to be there. And we are also the entertainment capital of the country, right? So whether you're looking for jobs in finance, media, entertainment, technology, business, consulting, banking, right? So all of these kinds of jobs, they are quite concentrated in the GTA area, Greater Toronto area. That is where most of the companies headquarter themselves. We are also the startup capital of the country. So where you in India, you would look at Bangalore as the startup capital, or Delhi as the political place, Mumbai as a financial capital, Calcutta might be as a cultural capital. Toronto is all of this in one, right? So understand the amazing power you have as somebody who graduates in Toronto. And then some of the other figures that are also mentioned on the screen will help you understand why Toronto makes sense. Now, I'll say smooth transition into how being in Toronto, how being at a top school in Schulich treats you, right? So it definitely gets you some of the best jobs that exist in the market, whether it be talking about, financial institutions like TD, CIBC, RBC, the big banks of Canada, or tech giants like Amazon, Meta, talk about all the FANG. So definitely these are the jobs that our students get preferred for, right? So not only these companies come and hire, but they also prefer select candidates for a lot of these roles. One way to look at it from a student point of view is whenever a school has a recruiter come in, the recruiter has not been there for the first time, right? So let's say if Google comes to hire at Schulich, they're not coming for the first time. They already have had hundreds and thousands of students they have hired from Schulich. So when you interview or when you go meet them as a recruiter, they are already comfortable with your brand. They're already comfortable with the school you're coming from. So half the job is done, and the next half is obviously your fit with the program, your specialization that you have chosen into the MBA program, the role, how does it exactly apply to your previous experience. Your job is half done and half obviously that you would learn in your MBA program. So that's how you should be looking at going into top schools, that the brand itself holds a lot of value when it comes to getting shortlisted for jobs. We have an amazing portfolio of programs. Obviously, we have the full-time flagship MBA program. We are a January and September start school. So the next intake is January 2026. The applications are currently on. And one of the good news that I can give you here is we do have application fee waivers for everyone attending this webinar. So if you are here, you will be the only people who will know that there is a $150 application fee which can be waived, right? So it hasn't gone out in the email. Since you have joined, you can feel free to email me right after this webinar and ask me for an application fee waiver. Okay. January intake is the upcoming intake. It starts on first week of January itself, and the applications have been ongoing since 15th of April. So the round one, round two is something we are at right now. Round deadline is 26th of June. So if you ask for an application fee waiver, know that you have to submit your application by 26th of June. And the question that a lot of students might be asking is, I don't have a GMAT score, or what if I can get a GMAT waiver? So that's all very subjective. I'll say 99% of the class does not get a GMAT waiver. Most of the people you will see sitting in a Schulich classroom will have GMAT scores, but there is a possibility that that 1 or 2% gets the waiver. So if you are somebody with a high GPA, somebody with a substantial reason to get a waiver, do reach out to us through the email as well, and I'll be happy to assess your profile for the waiver. Now, how is Shillik MBA different? I think one definitely is a January start. We are one of the top schools, only top school to have a January start. Now there is 17 specializations to choose from. So these are some of our 17 specializations, and these are a mix of functional and cross-functional. Okay, let me give you an example. If you're a student wanting to work in finance plus um, strategy, right? So you would choose our finance specialization plus strategic management. Now that would put you at the strategy senior, mid-senior positions in financial institutions. Something that you want to do but are not able to do right now without an MBA. Okay. So I'm not talking about just becoming an investment banker, just working in private equity, hedge fund, VC. That's obviously there. That's something that a top MBA will anyway help you with. Shillik is very, it's a good brand to work in financial institutions, accounting bodies, but that's the kind of aspiration that you can also have to work in mid-senior, senior level strategy roles in financial institutions. To give you another example, let's say you are somebody who wants to work in marketing, but you also want to work at the cutting edge of marketing because in India you have been working in marketing for 5 years and it gets repetitive. So you would come to Shillik and you would choose marketing plus sustainability, right? Now sustainability is a North American thing. In India, obviously we have couple of companies focusing on this, but in North America it's no more just a luxury. Every company has to abide by sustainability. It's very difficult to talk about US right now in terms of being green and sustainable, but Canada is still a place where you would be hired, I'll say, more often. You would get more offers if you are somebody who studies sustainability well or understands sustainability in your particular domain as well, whether it be finance, whether it be accounting, marketing, IT as well, right? And that's the reason Shillik has sustainability as one of its core courses in year one as well. So that's what I mean when we say 17 specialization. You can choose up to two out of 17 specializations. Now, how does the program look like? So MBA is necessarily a 16 to 20 month program. If you look at it from a bird eye view, it is 8 months of year one. That's where you study marketing, accounting, finance, sustainability, organization, pretty much all the core courses that exist. Then you go into 4 months of optional internship. 95% of our students do internships, right? Because you do not pay for tuition in that particular term. Plus, you get paid internships. And if you do not have North American experience, it just helps you with getting more jobs at the end of your program. So 8 months plus 4 months, plus you finish with another 8 months of specializations. And then obviously in the last 8 months where you choose up to two specializations, you also have consulting project to work on. It is called strategy field study. It is one of our USPs actually. A lot of students apply to Shillik because they want to get into strategy field study. So it's not 4 weeks, it's not 6 weeks, it's 8 month long consulting project with a company based in Canada. Okay. So you're actually working with a Canadian company, you're working on business problems that they are facing. And in the last year, at the end of the year, you present a project report to the manager of that company along with your guide at Shillik, and you get credits for that subject. Okay. So that's how the MBA is, I'll say, designed. And how does it make more employable is because you have 4 months of internship, 8 months of consulting. That is 12 months of experience working with a Canadian employer by the time you finish your MBA, right? So we have students coming in and saying, I don't have international experience. I've always worked in India. How will a Canadian employer, why will BC or CIBC hire me? They will hire you because you have 12 months of experience in consulting plus internship working with a Canadian company during your MBA program, right? And that's exactly why you would see Shillik students always getting pretty much 2 to 3 offers in hand, 100% placements throughout before COVID, during COVID, after COVID. Now, this is a new program that we launched last year, last year. It's a tech MBA. It's specially designed for people who are wanting to work in technology industry in the CXO roles, a mid-senior, senior level roles, just like an MBA, but they are very sure and they have experience already in tech industry. Okay, so it's a very very niche program. If you are somebody who already has 4 to 5 years of strong tech experience, you can consider tech MBA program as well. And this does not require GMAT GRE, but it doesn't mean it's easy to get in. So we will be more selective. We will look at your GPA. We will be more aggressive with your admission interview when it comes to the tech MBA program. Just to help you understand the portfolio of masters, we have 9 specialized masters to choose from. a CPA accredited accounting, a Vector Institute partnered business analytics, a CFA partnered Master of Finance, a Master of Management in AI. So again, tech plus management, a program of future. These all programs are very, very heavily much in demand, right? And that's the reason that most of these programs will pay you upwards of 80 to 90,000 Canadian dollar salaries per year, okay, right after you graduate. All of them are 12-month masters, and all the programs at Schulich, whether you study a master or an MBA, they give you access to 3 years of postgraduate study permit, work permit, sorry, PGWP, right? So right after graduation, you're allowed to be in Canada and work in Canada for next 3 years. And during those 3 years, you apply for PR, permanent residence. And I'll say 99.9%, we're not allowed to say 100%. So maximum students get their PR within 1 year of working in Canada after Schulich. And then within total 5 years of being in Canada, you can apply for citizenship. So when we talk about immigration, it's still as generous as it was. The policies are still as welcoming, if that's a question that you have in mind. And the reason I'm telling you is because a lot of students always wanted to study in Canada, but now with the new regulation, they are just scared. So I'll tell you, the regulation changes are for students who are going to tier two, tier three universities, maybe colleges also, right? But Schulich, being a part of York University, being a public university, is still as strong, and our students still get 3 years of work permit, regardless of whatever program you join. Now, the partnerships that Schulich holds are extremely, I'll say, high caliber. So in India, we are partnered with IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, and ISB. And similarly, around the world, also the partnerships are extremely, extremely reputed. To give you an example, in UK, we are partnered with Imperial College London, where you can spend some time during your MBA program at Schulich. In Italy, we are partnered with Bocconi for luxury brand management specialization or food and beverage. In France, we are partnered with ESSEC, if you have heard the school's name. They are again a great place to study, luxury, travel, tourism, those kinds of courses. And that's the kind of partnerships we have, around 52 partner schools in 30 different countries. Okay. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because we have global study tours, full term, short term exchanges, pretty much everything that you want to do, you can accomplish in your 20-month MBA program at Schulich, if you work closely with your academic advisor and the career coach, right? So these are two people very important in your journey at Schulich, and they will advise you on every step of what next should you be doing. So that's my small presentation, right? This is a QR code that you can actually scan to get on a one-on-one call with me to have a specific profile evaluation about just your profile. And as I said, admission requirements are GMAT, GRE, pretty much mandatory. But if you are somebody very good GPA, technically high, quant skills, we can look at a waiver for you, but that's very one-on-one. So scan the QR code, take a photo right now. Deadlines are 26th June for the January 2026 intake. So another 10, 15 days, but I'll say that's more than enough for a Schulich application, because we do not ask you for GRE GMAT right away. If you, let's say you're planning to write in the next 4 to 6 weeks, we will still accept your application, right? So you can submit by June 26th and provide us GMAT GRE score by 1st of August. That's still fine. We will still interview you if we like you, but the admission decision will only be delivered once you have the GMAT GRE submitted. Okay. Career placements I already talked about. We are super, I'd say fortunate to have always 100% placements, pretty much very high salaries, upwards of 120 to 130,000 Canadian dollars on an average. Signing bonuses of 15 to 30,000 depending on the industry that you're going in. Student clubs, we have more than 250 student clubs at York University, because we're a large university with an engineering school, public policy, law school, medicine school, and the business school, which is Schulich. But at Schulich also, we have around 25 to 30 clubs, very, very high reputed chapters of Net Impact Club, finance clubs, that you can really take advantage of. And case competitions are something that is a specialty. Schulich is a winner in all the case competitions that are held across the world. We have very, very strong case teams. We are trained by some of the best case trainers in the world. So again, I'll say strength wise, you, whether you want to get into consulting, whether you want to work in finance, whether you want to work in marketing, we are just a very all well-rounded school. Okay. Now I understand that many of your questions can be around these as well. But what I'll do is I'll pass it on to Deepak, and I'll also let you ask any questions that you might have in mind. So I see the chat now. and I don't see any questions yet. But what I want you to do is take this opportunity to ask any candid questions, anything that you have on mind, anything that is stopping you from studying abroad this year, or let's say anything that will help you make your mind about studying in US, Canada, Europe. So as Deepak said, I've studied in Europe and US. I represent Canada. So I'm pretty much, I'll say um, good enough to answer any of these questions that you might have in mind. I'll pass it on to you, Deepak.
Hey, thank you so much, Rahul, for sharing a lot of insights about Sholek. And on the behalf of the students, I have a few questions that I would like you to answer.
Sure.
Um, as an admission committee member, what do you think? And please don't just give any generic answer. I just want to be a little more specific because the audience today is most of the students, they are preparing for their GMAT exam, right? So I just want to understand from an admission committee perspective, how do they evaluate a profile? What exactly are the, maybe if you can please tell me 3 points that they would definitely look into a profile, or the things which are actually going to be having a bearing on the admission decision.
Great question. And I think this has to be answered with utmost sincerity, right? Because the deadline is also coming up. So I don't want to give you a generic answer. See, there is an evaluation that happens right before application, right? So when what we call pre-application internally is basically once you submit the application and the first assessment that happens. That is minimum eligibility criteria which is being assessed. If it is being met, then only an admission officer gets to see the application. So that one criteria, the first point, the most important is your GPA, right? Anything above 60%, I think, is a safe GPA. Any GMAT score about 525 is a safe GMAT. Whenever I say safe, it's the minimum eligibility we are looking at. If you are somebody with a 515 GMAT or a 303 GRE, you will have to be rewriting your tests and submit an application later or provide us a new score. So that's the one important point. Minimum eligibility, super important. GMAT, GPA, work experience. If you are applying for Shalik's MBA, at least 3 years of experience if you come with a 3 year degree, 2 years of work experience if you come with a 4 year degree. The experience is counted on the day you join the program, right? So let's say if you join in January 2026, you should have at least 3 years of experience by December 31st, 2025. Okay. And that is if you have a 3 year degree. If you have a 4 year degree, then you need to have 2 years of experience by December 31st, 2025. Okay. So that's one. Second is the admission interview. Let's say you are fine with eligibility criteria, an admission officer is looking at your application. I'll say shortlisting is done for mostly 70% of the candidates because we are a holistic school. We just don't want to, let's say, reject you on the basis of, a 555 GMAT. So that's still okay with us. We would still shortlist you for the interview in cases where the admission officer sees some level of, confidence in the candidate. The admission interview is super important because we are looking at you being researched about the program, you being a genuine student, you are somebody who really wants to gain out of the MBA program and give back to the Shillik alumni pool as well. So that's genuinity that we are asking for. I know now this is a very generic answer, but there is no way to prepare for an admission interview, right? You obviously are somebody who can learn about the program, you can actually practice a little bit with ChatGPT. That's all good with us. Use AI to prepare for admission interview. Use services like Career Launcher to prepare well for the interview. But that is going to make a big impression on the admission team. And third, I think the most important point that also students might be interested in is the scholarship, right? So that's also an important part of your admission, and I'll say the last step to your admission decision. That is the scholarship. So we are looking at the quant part of the profile, basically mostly for merit-based scholarships. So that is your GPA, GMAT, GRE, and work experience. So if you're preparing for GMAT, GRE, aim for the highest scores. I'll say GPA is not something that you can actually change, but overall, I'll say diversity plus quant part of your profile is scholarship decision. And these are the 3 pointers you should be looking at. One big advice is do not overthink. So even if, let's say, hearing this is overwhelming, that I have to do all this, but I'll say 90% of the application you already have it with you. It's only 10% that is remaining. So if you're somebody who is overwhelmed, just calm down, don't panic too much, start your application and go with the flow. And we're always there. So Deepak is always there. I'm always there to help you understand, how can you make a great application.
Great to hear that. And I have a couple of more questions. A lot of students that I encounter, they say that having an NGO experience or having an internship
Mm.
compulsorily in the profile is going to have a direct bearing on the admission decision, or should I be going for any NGO experience in order to strengthen my chances of getting into an MBA? So I hear a lot of questions around what kind of social impact background that I have, or any kind of NGO background that I have, how exactly it is important, and is it even important for an MBA admission specifically? All right. So if you can please answer this question.
So I'll say it's important to be passionate about something other than your career in life. That's exactly what we're looking at. We're not exactly looking for somebody who has done, volunteering work for 3 years, taken a break in their life to go to Oroville or teach for India, teach for America. So that's not exactly what we're looking for. If you have it, great. But we want you to be more human, right? And humans tend to care about things, whether it be your family, whether it be about a disease that you think is close to your heart, something like animal welfare, environment. And whenever you say that, okay, I really care about global warming, there has to be at least 3 to 5 things you must have done in your life of 27, 28 years to back that as well. If you just say it out, and if we figure out that you're just saying it to look cool or to look more genuine in the application, that's a good recipe to get rejected. So I'll say the best thing to do is to look inside yourself. I'm 100% sure if you're a human and not a robot, there are things you care about. You have done some things in your life, and just highlight them in the application, make your story aligned to them. But do not go out and do extra volunteering work just to make a stronger application. That is usually a very good way to get rejected.
All right. That's exciting. Another question that I have from the students, what I usually hear, what kind of questions are usually asked during an interview? Okay, how to crack those interviews of getting into any of the top international B schools? So
All
you've
right.
been studying, you have studied in France, you've studied at a top US school, UC Berkeley. So how exactly you faced your interviews? Now you've been interviewing a lot of students here. So how has been your experience?
Yeah, I think going into the interview, the most important thing is clarity of mind. Any question that we would ask will be related to a why, right? So imagine, why Canada, why Toronto, why Schulich, why this program, right? Why you, why now? Why should we admit you and not somebody else? Why are you unique? So I think these are all the why questions that you have to literally ask yourself 1 or 2 days or maybe a week before the interview, ideally, and figure out what are the unique answers you can get. I'll tell you a bad answer example, right? So if I ask you why Shalik, and you tell me because you have 51% international students, because you have, you know, you're ranked number one. So that's something that you can research on ChatGPT 5 minutes before you're in the interview. So that's not valuable experience. That's not something that tells anything about you. A good answer is something like, have been working in marketing for 5 years. I follow the work by Dr. Ashwin Joshi, who is the program director of Shillick's MBA. I'm really excited about what he does, how he teaches marketing using the quant way of teaching. And I think that's something that will change my life. And that's why I want to come to Shillick, because Dr. Ashwin Joshi teaches at Shillick and no other school. So then I'm super confident that, so and so person will benefit from the MBA program more than somebody else who just coming to us because we're ranked number one, right? Because today we are number one, tomorrow if we are number two, what will you gain out of us, right? So just be more genuine, do your research. Yeah.
All right. That's great to hear. And now I'll just quickly share my screen and walk the students with a short presentation about the schools outside Canada. All right, just give me a moment to share my screen. All right, a quick yes in the chat box if you can see my screen.
Yes, Deepak, we can.
All right, great. So just to walk you all, like what exactly am I going to cover in today's presentation? I'll just discuss the management education spectrum. Okay, what are the different kind of programs? You must have heard of MBA, executive MBA, and there are a lot of terms associated with MBA, how different these programs are going to be from one another. What are the kind of colleges that are there in the top rankings, and how do they evaluate the students? And I would discuss a few specific things about MBA, MS, MIM, MFin, MSBA programs, and finally, how Career Launcher can actually help you out in getting into any of these top international schools. So the first program that I would share with you is a deferred MBA program. Now, deferred MBA is a program which is specifically meant for the students who are in their final year of their undergraduation. Okay, like if they are pursuing a 3-year program, so that means they should be in their third year. If they are pursuing their 4-year program, so then they should be in their fourth year. Okay, at the time of application of this program. Now, you must have heard of that any MBA program outside India would ask you to submit or ask you to have a certain work experience. Ideally, it should be a 2+ years of work ex or 3+ years of work experience. So this is where a lot of top international colleges, they give you an option that you can apply in your final year itself. We'll evaluate your profile, we'll evaluate your potential. If we find that potential in you, we'll give you a guaranteed admit, but with a condition that you should complete minimum required work experience before you can actually join an MBA program. So that means if you want to get into a Harvard University, you can definitely get into Harvard in your final year itself, provided your profile is excellent and you've displayed your potential well in your applications. And if Harvard finds your profile suitable enough, so they'll give you an admit, but on a condition that you should have at least 2 years of work experience before you can join the Harvard Business School for an MBA. All right. This is what a deferred MBA program means. I'll share the list in my subsequent slide about the deferred MBA. Second is a master's in management program, which is specifically meant for the students having no work experience or a work experience of up to 3 years. Okay, the students who are at an early stage of their career, who have recently graduated, now they're looking forward for a program which can actually establish the management skills in the profile. So if you want to understand the fundamentals of management, as well as you want to gain some practical knowledge, some internship experience in a program, in a structured curriculum, so then MIM would be the right program for you. And this program is offered by some of the best schools of the world, which includes INSEAD, HEC Paris, London Business School, ESEP, ESSEC, IE, ESADE, all of these top international colleges that you must have heard of. Third is a specialized masters, or we also call it a business masters program. So business master mean a program which has a specialization, okay, as a major. So for example, you get into a masters in finance, or you can apply for masters in marketing, masters in business analytics. These are specialized masters program which are meant for the candidates either with no work experience or with a work experience, but there is no specific requirement of having a prior work experience in order to pursue this program. Anybody who wants to upskill himself or herself, anybody who wants to gain a deep understanding of one specific function of management should ideally go ahead with a specialized master's program. So a lot of students nowadays, they plan out for a master's in business analytics, which is a perfect integration of business management and technology. Then a lot of students now, they're deciding to go ahead with an MS in finance, masters in finance program, which is again offered by some of the best universities across the globe. So if you want to pursue your career in investment banking, portfolio management, wealth management, corporate finance, so then you could look out for an option like masters in finance. Fourth category and the most popular category is a global MBA, which is specifically meant for the candidates having more than 2 years or more than 3 years of work experience. Now, this program is meant for those who have prior experience and who know how businesses are operated. They know the fundamentals of it, but now they want to enter a position which is more of a leadership position in an organization. Okay, so for example, if you want to lead a large team as a product manager, or let's say if you want to lead a large team as a regional manager. Okay, so this is where a program like Global MBA would help you to understand and know management concepts quite in detail, which are more industry linked, which are more practical, and you would get to understand how leaders are formed. Okay, so this is where a global MBA program would be a right fit for you if you're having more than 3 years, more than 4 years of work experience. Fifth category is an executive MBA, which is specifically meant for those having more than 10 years of work experience. So the students who are having 10 years, 12 years, 14, 15 years of work experience, and now they're looking for a program which can actually help them to upskill. They want to understand the new advancements or the latest integrations in terms of technology, in terms of new management concepts in the different kind of businesses, in the different industries. So that candidate would ideally go for an executive MBA program. But these executive MBA programs are generally part-time programs. They're not full-time programs. Okay, they are offered by the colleges either in an online delivery mode, or maybe they're offered by the colleges on a weekend classroom mode. Right. So I'll be sharing the list of all of these colleges with you in my subsequent slides. Here is the list of the top deferred MBA programs. So you must have definitely heard of schools like Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley has business school. It offers a Berkeley has accelerated access program. Then you have Carnegie Mellon, Chicago Booth, Columbia, Harvard, MIT Sloan. You have Northwestern Kellogg, Stanford, Darden, Wharton, Yale. These are the colleges which offer a deferred MBA program. So if you're a student who are in your final year right now, who plan to go for an MBA maybe after working for 2 or 3 years, so then you can apply for a deferred MBA program in your final year itself. All right. Then comes the Masters in Management program, which is a very popular program for the students having less than 3 years of work experience. Now, this is a typical profile of an MIM candidate. So if you're aiming for the top 50 MIM programs of the world, so an ideal GMAT score should range anywhere between 625 to 685. Or if you're taking GRE, so it should be a 320 and above. Then a lot of students, they come from industry background, from marketing or from general management, consulting, finance, and technology. Work experience is not at all required, but if you have work experience, so it should ideally should not cross 2 years of work experience. So it should be less than 2 years of work experience. In fact, there will be a lot of colleges which would recommend you, or maybe having a cap, that if you're having more than 2 years of work experience, so you cannot apply for an MIM. All right. So be mindful while applying for an MIM program. It is specifically meant for those having less than 3 years of work experience. Okay. Then comes pre-masters academics. A lot of students who come from business management, economics, or engineering backgrounds, which have a math component in their profile, they are generally more suitable candidates for an MIM program. Okay, if you do not have a math background, that is absolutely fine. So, but given the kind of recent advancements that are happening in the curriculum of all the management programs, so it is important that you should have a fair understanding of mathematics, given that analytics is now a part of almost all the management programs. Okay, so if you're getting into an MIM, you would also study marketing analytics, you would study financial analytics. Okay, you would study operational analytics. Okay, so you should have that math component in your profile. And if you do not have that, so obviously there is some pre-coursework that you can add up to your profile in order to have that math component. And a GPA should ideally be somewhere around a 3.2 and above. Okay, so if you're having a good academic record with a good GMAT score, where you're able to present your profile in a better way through your applications, so you would definitely land and admit to any of the top 50 MIM programs across the globe. Here is the list of the top MIM programs. So as you can see, colleges like University of St. Gallen, HEC Paris, INSEAD, EDHEC, ESCP, London Business School. These are the top-notch colleges. And the weighted salary of these colleges is more than $100,000. Okay, so you can see the kind of potential that these colleges have in order to place students with such high paying salaries. All right, so if you're looking out for an MIM, so you obviously ideally you should be looking out for these set of colleges. And obviously you have, if you're looking for the Western countries of predominantly US and Canada, so there are schools, limited schools. They are very, very competitive. They are very prestigious schools. Like you have Schulich in Canada, then you have Boston University in US, you have Duke Fuqua in US. So there are a few schools, but they are very, very competitive. But if your profile is good enough, so you definitely get through. Now, a lot of students, they go for a master's in business analytics. Okay, another very good program, a hot program, emerging program in the past few years. If you're a business analytics aspirant, so you should ideally be having a GMAT score of 665 and above. This is specifically if you're aiming for the top 30, top 40 MSBA programs. Then a lot of students for an MSBA, they either come from consulting, finance, or technology background with a 2 or 3 years of work experience. Okay. Work experience is highly recommended, but it is not required. Okay. Required as in there is no mandate requirement to have a work experience. But if you have work experience, so then definitely it will be a great add-on to your profile. Most of the students getting into an MSBA program, they come from STEM background. Okay, the students who have maybe engineering background or a math background or an economics background. So they are more preferred because they have a robust math component in their profile. Okay. Apart from this, you should have a 3.5 and above GPA in the STEM subjects. That is very, very important. And if you want to land admits to the best of the universities like MIT, UCLA, ESSEC, LBS, Columbia, Duke, Imperial, so you should ideally be having a strong math component, a strong GMAT score, and a well-crafted application. Okay, then comes masters in finance. Though all those students who wish to pursue their career in core finance, let's say corporate finance or investment banking, or maybe wealth management, portfolio management, maybe financial modeling. If you're looking for those kind of career domains, so MS Finance would be a very good option for you. An ideal score should be somewhat around a 665 and above, which would put you in the top 5%, top 7% of the GMAT test takers. Then it is preferred that you come from a consulting or a finance background. You should have some sort of work experience, but again, it is not a mandate requirement. A strong STEM background is a must for a finance student. In fact, a lot of universities might not allow you to apply for an MS Finance program if you do not have a strong math component in your profile. Okay, so if you haven't studied math up to uh, um, a medium level or maybe up to an advanced level, so there are a few pre-courses that you can add up to your profile related to calculus, linear algebra, probability, and statistics in order to add that, bridge that gap of math component in your profile. All right. And here is the list of the top MFin programs, MFin colleges rather. So it is MIT Sloan, ESCP, ESSEC, ESSEC. You have UC Berkeley, EdHec Business School, Oxford, LBS, Yale, all of these top schools. And weighted salary of most of these schools would range anywhere between $120,000 to $180,000. This is for the most of the colleges. All right. Then comes the most popular program, that is an MBA. Okay. So a lot of students, they aim for the different category of colleges. Okay. Let me walk you through those categories. M7, which is an elite group of 7 top ranked business schools in US. Then you have E7, which is the top 7 elite business schools in Europe. Okay. Then you have T10, which is the top business school, top 10 business schools, and you have T15, the top 15 business schools of the world. Then you have O9, which are the colleges which are best on return on investment. Okay. Then you have I5 category, the best Indian 1 year MBA programs. And then you have EA5, which means the top 5 executive MBA program. And then comes 7TM, the newest addition to this list, that is 7 top tech MBA programs. In fact, Rahul just mentioned that Schulich has a tech MBA program. It is one of the best programs that you'd find offered by Schulich University, by York University, Schulich Business School. And obviously, it is a very competitive program to get into, but it has great returns. Okay. A lot of students who want to work into tech consulting or who want to get into management consulting, who want to get into product management. So those are the students who actually have done a tech MBA program. Now, a school like Schulich is offering a tech MBA. Then you have a school like Cornell offering a tech MBA, Columbia offering a tech MBA. And there are a lot of schools across the globe which offers this kind of a program. Now, here is the list of M7. You have Harvard, Wharton, Columbia, Chicago Booth, Kellogg, MIT, Stanford. Then you have the top 7 schools in Europe: INSEAD, HEC, LBS, IMD, ISE, Oxford, and Cambridge. Then you have T10, T15, I5. I5 includes ISB, IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, and Lucknow. These are the 5 top 1-year MBA programs in India. All right. Now, the list doesn't end here. Okay. There is no end to this list when it comes to only M7, E7, T10, I5 category. There are a lot of other schools outside this category which may not fall in these terms, but they are even better, or they are excellent schools. Okay. For example, you have NUS Singapore. Okay. For example, you have Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, HCUST in Hong Kong. You have University of Melbourne. You have
Deepak, yeah.
Schulich Business School, that is York University.
Hello.
Yes, yes, Rahul.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, like I have a hard stop at 9:50, and there are a couple of questions that I have already answered. So I mean, I'm sure these other schools you can definitely answer the questions for them. But anything specific to Shilluk, I have already
Yeah,
answered. I've
absolutely.
put out my email in the chat for the audience. So feel free to reach out to me on paryani@shilluk.york.ca. If you want to connect with me on a one-on-one call, Deepak is also there, so you can directly get in touch with Career Launcher, the nearest branch that you have, or with Deepak directly, and I'll be happy to get on a one-on-one profile evaluation call. And obviously, all of these are great schools, and the world is going through a difficult time. I understand as an international, students, you looking to study in North America and Europe right now, you're pretty concerned. There are queries, but the more you talk about it, the more you'll understand it is actually one of the best times to study abroad, right? And I'll be happy to get in touch with you to understand exactly for your profile how will you benefit from the program. And thank you so much, Deepak, for organizing this. I think this was a great webinar. Even at 9 p.m., a lot of people joined in. So thank you so much to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. I'll just take your goodbye. But yeah, stay in touch. Thank you, Deepak.
All right. All the best. Thank you. Yeah. So as I was discussing about the list beyond these terms, so obviously you have colleges like NUS Singapore, you have schools like HKUST in Hong Kong, you have University of Melbourne, you have University of Sydney, you have Schulich Business School, York University, you have University of Toronto, you have University of British Columbia. These are the finest schools that you'd find for pursuing a management education. Okay, so depending upon your profile, depending upon your budget, depending upon the location that you want to target, depending upon the kind of international immersions, projects, research opportunities offered by the colleges, then it will be ideal for you to shortlist the right set of colleges based on your profile. Okay, it is not only about running after the M7 colleges or running after the E7 colleges. It is more about getting into a school which is best fit for my kind of a profile. All right. And this is where obviously we could help you in understanding more about the best set of colleges based on your profile. All right. Then let me share a few insights about the M7 category colleges, because I hear hear these kind of queries quite oftenly, that a lot of students, they come to me, they tell me that, okay, sir, I want to get into Harvard or a Wharton or a Columbia, Kellogg type of a school. Just to give you some stats here. So acceptance rate of these colleges ranges between 15% to 30%. And this is the acceptance out of the students who actually got an interview call. Okay. So and the applications are anywhere between 4,000 to 8,000 in most of these colleges. The GMAT, because there is no official data on the GMAT focus edition applicants as of now. So if I talk about the earlier GMAT score, it is anywhere around 730. Okay, so that means a 685 or a 695 GMAT score would be an ideal score for you to like apply with if you're aiming for the schools like Harvard, Wharton, Columbia, Stanford, Booth, or Kellogg. Okay, if you're aiming for these kind of colleges, so a 685 or a 695 is a must when it comes to GMAT. And it is not only about GMAT, there will be other parameters too, like your GPA, which should ideally be a 3.5 and above. And so when I say 3.5 and above, I mean a GPA of 87, 88% and above in your undergrad. All right, so that becomes mandatory. And these schools are very generous in accepting the international applicants. So don't worry about whatever is going on at Harvard and whatever the news that are going through US or the other for the other colleges. So obviously this is a temporary arrangement what has been done, but still these colleges are quite open to accept international applicants. In fact, there are a lot of colleges which would have a more than of 40%, more than 50% of the pool of international students going to these colleges. All right. Then an intern interviewee profile. How would you get an interview call from any of the top schools? So your GMAT score should be a 675, 685 and above, as I said. Then if you're applying for M7, E7 category, a 4+ years of work experience is an ideal experience. If you're applying for I5 category, a 3+ years of work experience would be good enough. And then your GPA should be 3.5 and above. And you should ideally have a work experience of consulting, finance, or technology. But if you're coming from, let's say, a diverse background, let's say a law background or a medicine background, or if you have a background of any PSU, this is going to be a great add-on because there will be a very smaller pool of students who come with a similar kind of background. So you would have more chances of getting through with the process based on your diversity of experience. All right. So do take advantage of that. And if you're still aiming for the top US universities, so an ideal thought should be that you get into these set of organizations, which are the top H1B sponsors. Okay. And this is the list what we have curated out of the LCA fillers. So you have organizations like Amazon, Deloitte, IBM, Salesforce, or Tesla, Cisco, AWS. These are the organizations which actually offer an H1B sponsorship. So if you're keen on getting into US, so an ideal way should be that you get into a STEM program, which would get you a 3-year OPT. And after getting an OPT of 3 years, to land a job in any of these organizations where you could get an H1B sponsorship. Okay, this would significantly increase your chances if you land up and admit to a STEM program. Okay. Now, here's the list of the 1-year MBA programs in India. So a lot of students, they plan for GMAT to get into the top Indian schools. Okay. So schools like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, ISB, IIM Bangalore, Lucknow, Indore. These are the colleges which offer a 1-year full-time MBA program. In fact, I had a question in the chat box around the work experience for ISB specifically. All right, let me just read out that question. I will complete my 24 months of work experience till 15th July of 2026. So will I be eligible for ISB Hyderabad PGP 1-year program? So just to share with you, Yash, you would not be eligible to apply for the PGP of 2026. You would be eligible for PGP YL. Okay, so you cannot apply for the PGP program because you should have 2 years of work experience till 31st March of 2026. But if you mentioned that you would complete 24 months of work experience by 15th July, so that means you would be eligible to apply for PGP YL, which is a 20 months program at ISB. Okay, so you'd have to take that into consideration. Another question, how much minimum GMAT score is required for Indian B schools? So see, if you're looking out for the schools like IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, Indore, Lucknow, these colleges, they still traditionally follow the pattern of having an excellent academics in the profile or a good GMAT score. So an ideal GMAT score for all of these colleges would be a 655, 665 and above. For a school like ISB, which is quite liberal in terms of evaluating the profile holistically, so then any GMAT score above 645 would be a good score. But again, an ideal score, given the competitiveness, would be a 655, 665 and above. All right. But there are schools like SP Jain, IIM Udaipur, Great Lakes, IMT, which may accept your application at a GMAT score of anywhere between 605 to 645. Okay. So accordingly, you'll have to decide that which program should I be applying for. Okay. Then what are the key aspects in the profile? Most of the universities would try and look into your leadership abilities, how well you have led a team or how well you have led a project, how well you have demonstrated your leadership abilities, even if you weren't a leader at your workplace. Then any kind of initiative what you have taken, any innovation that you have displayed, or the progression of your let's say your hobbies or progression of your work experience, how well you are able to showcase your progression in your applications, any impact what you have created through your roles and responsibilities at your workplace or maybe during your academics is something which would be important, and you should ideally be quantifying the impact. Okay, so if you were a, let's say, a sales manager, so percentage increase in the revenue, or maybe if you're a general manager or a product manager, so you should be able to understand and display how much profit percentage change or maybe how much efficiency change that you were able to bring in through your roles and responsibilities. Then these are the weightages which are given to the different parameters. Around 30% of the weightage is given to your profile, academics, extracurriculars, internships, projects, and work experience. Around 25 to 30% of the weightage would be given to your GMAT or a GRE score. And around 40 to 45% of the weightage would be given to your applications, which includes your essays, your letter of recommendations, your scholarships, and your interviews. Okay. Then how career launcher can help? So firstly, we would sit with you, brainstorm with you to help you understand your long-term and your short-term career goals. Based on your goals, we'll help you to identify which master's program would be an ideal program for you. Is it going to be a master's in finance or a master's in business analytics or an MIM or an MBA or an executive MBA? So we'll help you figure out which program would be right fit for you. It is not only about running after a term like an MBA or maybe getting into an MSBA program. It is about getting into a right fit program. Then once we have that clarity, we'll help you out how you can build your profile. Okay, how you can select the right set of universities, how to prepare for the exams, then how to craft your essays, your documents related to your SOPs, your LORs, your video essays. Now a lot of universities, they've started taking Kira talent interview. Okay, this is an computer based interview where there will be a bot who would be interviewing you. So there will be a few questions which would be asked by a bot, and you'll have to record your answers and submit it to the universities. Okay, so a lot of universities, they've started taking the Kira talent interview now instead of the in-person interview or an online Skype interview. Okay, then when it comes to your counseling, so we'll help you out in shortlisting the universities based on rankings, based on location proximity of your recruiters, based on your budget, which round of application that you should be preferring. Okay, what should be your majors or co-majors, the country where you want to apply. Then how to prepare for the exams like GMAT, GRE, or IELTS academic will help you to prepare your resume. Then we'll help you out in building up a right storyline around what should be your long-term goals and short-term goals, and how well you should be presenting your goals in terms of your essays and SOPs. Okay, then we'll help you to identify who should be the recommender to your profile and what exactly he or she should recommend you for. Okay, so we'll help you out in getting the best recommendations for your application. Then comes your mock interviews, where there will be a lot of interviews would be conducted by the alums of the colleges or by your admission consultants. We'll do mock interviews for you. We'll share a lot of interview insights from the AdCom members. And then once you have an admit, we'll help you out in deciding which university that you should go ahead with, and how to declare your finances to the universities, how to get a loan, visa, and accommodation in order to get started off with your master's program. Okay, so just to share with you, we recently got admits at some of the best universities across the globe. One of our students, Advit Kanan, who got into Harvard this year. Okay, and it has been quite a privilege mentoring a candidate like Advait, who come from an IIT Kanpur background, having an excellent academic record, excellent profile, and I would like to discuss more about his profile and about his achievements. Obviously, I can share the profile with you. Then we have a lot of students who got into the best B schools of the world, like HEC Paris. You have Brown University, Cornell, Columbia, HEC Paris, University of Southern California. In fact, we had around 50 plus admits at ISB this year. So we've been doing excellent when it comes to ISB applications or the Ivy League applications or the top 25 B school applications for an MBA, MS, MFin, MIM programs across the globe. All right. And here are the list. Here is the list of a few other admits in the previous years, like Yale, Carnegie Mellon, Stanford, MIT, HEC Paris, London Business School, Cornell, ISB, all of the top schools across the globe. Now, I would like to formally conclude today's presentation. If you have any questions, so please go ahead and put it in the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to help you there. All right, how to avail these counseling, profile evaluation, mentorship. All right, so let me post a form in the chat box. So please fill up this form. My team would get in touch with you and set up a one-on-one profile analysis session with you. So we'll be more than happy to assist you there, and it is absolutely free. Okay, so you can just go there and fill up a form. What is the consulting fees? So Ayush, before that, obviously we need to understand more on your profile, which program, how many colleges that you should be applying for. So please fill up the form and we'll be able to help you out with the best suitable consulting program that you should go ahead with. Still, what's the average? How can I tell you about the average? Uh, Ayush, I'm not sure of your question. I want to go for management consulting profile. Could you please share information on INSEAD? See, INSEAD is one of the best schools to study management, to pursue a career in management consulting. In fact, we have two admits from INSEAD this year. And both the students, they came from a hardcore tech background. Okay, so a lot of students who end up getting into consulting roles, they come from a tech background. This is what the data says. Okay, so like if you want to get into a school like INSEAD, so you should have an ideal international experience. You should have strong academics. You should have a very good GMAT score. Both of the students who got into INSEAD, one had a GMAT score of 705, another student had a GMAT score of 675. Okay, so again, GMAT is a very, very important criteria. Along with this, INSEAD would ask you 5 different essays. Okay, so this is where your essays would be very, very important, where you'd have to explain about your leadership abilities, about your long-term and your short-term career goals, why exactly you want to get into an MBA program, how would you contribute towards the community at INSEAD. Okay, so all of these factors would play a very important role. Okay, so they would try and find this out, that how well do you understand businesses, how well you understand solving business problems. Okay, maybe through technology or maybe through other tools. Okay, this is what a typical management consulting profile would look like. So you have 3 years of experience at Oracle Consulting. So obviously it is a tech consulting background what you come from. So obviously you can take a transition towards management consulting, but obviously it should be aligned well with your long-term and your short-term career goals and why there is a need of an MBA. Okay, so we'd help you out with that. Don't worry on that. Guys, any other question apart from the fee structure? Which are EA5 colleges. So EA5 colleges are the top 5 executive MBA programs. Okay, so if I talk about the international EA5 colleges, which are Harvard, you have Stanford, you have INSEAD, you have London Business School and Columbia. These are the colleges which offer an executive MBA program, which is not a full-time program. It is a part-time program. Okay. All right. So guys, I guess I'm done with all the questions here. Again, I'm posting the form in the chat box. If you want to schedule a one-on-one profile analysis, please go ahead and fill up this form. Okay, one last question. Swapnil has asked, I want to go for MIM program at HEC Paris. Could you please share the information about it? All right. So see, HEC Paris is one of the top schools for MIM program. And a typical profile for an MIM at HEC Paris would look like where you have a really strong uh, background of contributing towards the society, a strong component of solving problems which are there, which are going in the world, maybe in your community, maybe for the people around you. If you have shown truly yourself in terms of contributing towards the society. Apart from this, fundamentally, the profile should be good enough when it comes to your GMAT, when it comes to having some sort of international exposure. So let's suppose if you're an ISEC member where you have maybe represented ISEC in some of the different countries, or if you have done an international internship, or if you have done an international project, any kind of international experience, okay, not the work experience, any kind of international background, what you have. Apart from this, um, see, HEC would any which ways look into your undergraduate school, undergraduate course, undergraduate scores. So your school would definitely matter a lot. That which university that you're coming from, which course have you done. So it would definitely matter a lot. In fact, two students who got into HEC this year, so both the students, they were from the top ranked colleges in the country. One was from St. Xavier's, Kolkata, and another student was from SRCC. Okay, so obviously, your undergrad school matters a lot. I want to pursue MBA from Indian B School. I have 3 years of experience. What colleges am I eligible for? So, Shishti, with the 3 years of experience, you should ideally be going ahead with a 1 year MBA program for the Indian colleges. So, you have schools like ISB, you have schools like SPJ in Mumbai, MDI Gurgaon, XLRI, Great Lakes Chennai, IIM Udaipur, IIM Kozhikode. These are the colleges for which you are eligible, and all of these colleges would accept a 3 year and above of work experience. Okay, but obviously you need to trim down that list to the most suitable 3 or 4 schools where you should actually apply. Okay, so for that you can definitely get in touch with me. All right, guys. I guess I am done with the questions for today. So looking forward to connecting with each one of you in the profile analysis sessions. All right. All the best. All right. Shristi, you have a question. Okay. You are in, but in MDI, they're not giving general MBA. See, it does give you a general MBA program, which is known as PGDM BM. Okay, so there is a program that is post graduation diploma in management in business management, which is a 15 months MBA program where you have 12 months on campus and 3 months of compulsory internship. This is the kind of program what they offer at MDI. All right, the questions are still coming in. All right, I'll be happy to help you. Nishant, you've asked 13 year of experience, current salary around 50 lakhs. Which B schools would you suggest for a good ROI? So see, if you are having a 50 lakhs and above salary and having 13 years of work experience, so I would only recommend you that either you look out for the 1 year global MBA programs, predominantly colleges like Kellogg Business School, which offers an excellent 1 year MBA. Schools like INSEAD, schools like HEC Paris, schools like London Business School, which are known for their 1 year global MBA programs, where an average work experience is somewhere around 8 to 9 years. Obviously, you still have higher work experience, but you would still fit into that cohort. Okay, and these schools are better with their return on investment because the recruiters they hire these students for senior leadership in an organization. Okay, there is a high possibility that you land a role as a SVP or an AVP in any of the top international organizations. So those are the colleges that what I would recommend with 13 years of work experience. If you're not willing of leaving off your job and going for a full-time MBA, so Nishant, in my opinion, you should ideally be looking out for the top executive MBA programs, the EA5, what I just mentioned. All right, guys. So I'm posting the form link again in the chat box. So if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us, and I'll be more than happy to take all of your queries one-on-one. So a very, very good evening and happy learning to all of you. Thank you so much for attending.